welcome to California Free Radio, the voice of Californians everywhere. I'm Mike Netter, accompanied by Scott Piotr and Kurt English. As always, we're blasting live on my XFeed channel, at Netter Mike, at TaxFighter7.com. We are on LinkedIn for those of you out there that are employed, and I won't say aren't Democrats because we've got one on tonight, and I'll get to that. We are live on all the Facebook channels, including Rebuild California in a couple minutes. And if that isn't enough for you, Outraged, our YouTube channel. I want to start with an opening thing here tonight. For all of you out there that don't pay attention to the line item media, we have a victory. It's not always a victory you see or don't see, but to me, it's a very, very big victory. The truth, gentlemen, Scott and Kurt, always wins out. It takes longer than we want it to a lot of the time, but the truth always wins out. For the last 5 years, 6 years, probably longer than that, late night TV, which I don't watch, has been dominated by somebody who does nothing but blast what we know to be the truth and then tells lies like much of the media, including about gender ideology, the focus of our show tonight, implies it, tries to do with a comedic bent. And that gentleman, and I use that word very, very loosely, is Stephen Colbert. And it disgusts me how much attention he gets because he's the leading show on a dying breed called late night television. Just before we came on, it was announced that Stephen Colbert is canceled. The truth is winning out.
Breaks my heart.
Gentlemen, that is kind of the theme of our show tonight. Oh, wait, before I toss it back and get to our guest, I also want to say that tomorrow, hey, Kurt and Scott, what are you guys doing right after lunch tomorrow?
What are we doing?
What you're doing at 1
I think
o'clock.
we're watching or listening to the John Phillips Show on 790 AM in Los Angeles or on KABC.com if you're not in that radio area so we can listen to Mike.
Absolutely. I'm going to be on the Fix California hour, so we're going to be giving out more truth. And yes, I'm excited about Colbert getting the boot too. Now, tonight I want to remind you we have Aaron Friday on, and I strike a little bit more serious tone than I do normally, and there's lots of news we'll get to later in the show. Because before I bring Aaron on, who I met a few years ago, we're going to talk about her testimony in front of the Federal Trade Commission. We'll get to that. But there's a lot, gentlemen, that distracts us all the time. We have illegal immigration. We have what goes on in the media. But we all talk all the time. What gets lost is what's being done to the next generation with, frankly, and anybody out there, YouTube, you may bleep part of this, the mutilation of our children. It's a problem. It's an issue, and it's one that's going rampant in California and started under Biden to spread across the country. Scott, Kurt, weigh in on this before we bring our guest in.
This is cutting off children's genitals is a crime, and everybody involved should be prosecuted.
Yeah, not only prosecuted, they ought to just be hung. I'm okay with that. They do not deserve to live if they're going to mutilate children like that. Sorry, capital crime is just fine with me.
It's unbelievable and amazing. And I've got to tell you, when I got involved, when we started doing the recall of Gavin Newsom, that wasn't one of the things on our punch list because most people just aren't that cognizant of it. It sounds like something of a science fiction movie. I've been very, very blessed. And again, for everybody, if you have comments or questions you want to ask our guest tonight, put them on LinkedIn, put them on Facebook, which I'll activate in 1 second. I'm on Mike Netter right now, and put them on X, and we'll try to get through our guests. We never get to all the comments. But one of the things I've been blessed with, we called them the angry mama bears during the recall. Don't tick off your mom, as we used to say, was an amazing group of women, of which Aaron Friday, our guest, is one, who fights not only for her child, but for all the kids across who are being tricked bluntly into making decisions which affect them for the rest of their lives. And the things that we're talking about aren't something you can go back and get your GED later. You can drop out of high school and go back. You can go to college when you're 24. These are decisions that are being made for children that are irreversible. Gentlemen, bring in our guest, and I am proud to have her on. Erin Friday, welcome to California Free Radio.
Thank you for
Erin.
having me.
You know, it's funny, and I want to full disclosure, Erin is kind enough to come from us on vacation. You're not in witness protection. I thought I'd make that clear for everybody because our audience knows this and we get all kinds of background. So I really appreciate you coming in tonight.
From an undisclosed location.
Yes, we're not going to broadcast the location because, frankly, Erin didn't invite us, which upsets me tremendously. But we'll get to that later. Erin, tell us a little bit. First off, full disclosure, and I love the way you opened your testimony. We'll get to that in 1 second. For everybody out there, do not turn this show off. Erin is a Democrat.
Hey.
Yeah, well, you know, we all live and learn. I joined the party when I was 18 years old, and it was a completely different party, at least in my mind then, than it is now. It's unrecognizable. And I was a busy mom with a full-time job or a part-time job and full-time with my kids. And I just didn't see that the party had turned so far left that it became the party of insanity. The party against women, the party against children, the party against family, the party against our Constitution, and the party against America. And that was a rude awakening. And I'll tell you, it really spun me out, because once I started pulling on that thread of that sweater, the whole thing fell apart. And I realized that I had been hoodwinked for a very long time, or blinded, or and it's quite embarrassing. I mean, you talked about Colbert. Colbert was one of my favorite shows to watch, and now I can't tolerate to even look at him. Once you know, once you see, you never look away. So for those who are going to put in the chat, oh, well, you're a Democrat. Well, I vote Republican. So just let's be clear. I vote Republican. But I want the Democrats to know that they are losing their, followers because they have gone insane. And I think, the United States needs two parties. So we do need two parties. But I know hundreds, if not thousands, of Democrats that have left the Democrat Party because of this craziness.
Yeah, and I want to be something.
Wait a second. I just quickly, why are you still a Democrat?
Because my voice is stronger. I want them to know that their own constituents don't believe in gender ideology and are, pro-children, pro-family, and that we're not all insane, because it's really the politicians. They're not listening to us. The sports is 80-20, right? 80% of Americans are against males being in girls' bathrooms and playing on their sports teams. And the Democrats in power, not one of them have voted to protect women and girls in sports, not one. So the Democrats, actually, the constituents, we need to be the loudest ones in the room saying, I am a Democrat and I am against this, and we're going to vote you out.
And I want to add something to this.
I've got a question for you. What percentage of Democrats do you think have your view?
Well, that's a tough one, because, a lot of the Democrats were like me. We read the New York Times, listened to CNN. We thought Fox News was the devil. And, we were believing in that. So we need the mainstream media to step out there, which they're starting to do, which is, again, a win. You're starting to see some of the turns in even the Sacramento Bee, which is, predominantly super left, but you'll see it in CBS. You're seeing it in The Atlantic, wrote an article about the harms of gender interventions on children. So you're starting to see the shift, and that's what we need, because we can't defeat gender ideology with just Republicans. It's got to be everyone. We can't have it being red states versus blue states. We have to protect children across our entire nation and adults, because I don't believe adults should be subjected to these types of monstrous interventions either. There's nothing magical when a child turns 18 that makes this science, this pseudoscience, suddenly science.
And I want to jump in on that subject for 1 second, but my co-hosts were jumping on top of it. It's not Democrats versus Republicans, okay? And again, Aaron, you and I are kind of a little bit of the same ilk, like a lot of people, except for Stephen Barber, who is mad at hell all the time, one of the people chiming in. Here's the reality of it. You're right. It's evil people have taken over the core of the Democratic Party. I grew up, so you're a Democrat, I'm a Republican, big deal. Let's go play in the ball game, right? 80% of the people, to your point, kind of think normal. Okay, they're not for men playing in girls' sports. I mean, it's almost insane, as I put all the time. It's like this is like another dimension where comedy writers come in, where they can't even improve on the situation because it's so ridiculous that literally most of the mainstream public is going, huh? And to your point, they get the knowledge shown. I want tonight's show for everybody out there is focusing on Aaron has become, I'm going to say, nationally famous, almost world famous. We know your website. We'll get into all that later. We want to push that and what you're doing. There's Moms for Liberty. There's a bunch of, as I used to say, don't tick your mom off. I could tick my dad off, and I knew what would happen if I ticked my mom off. It never worked out well for me. And I will go on record saying that. Mom, if you're watching, sorry I did it about the 80 million times I did. But a bunch, you, Nicole, Julie, I won't go into all the names, and more on there, have really risen to the occasion to speak up against this. And I want to talk about what I put out actually on X today, and I'm actually blasting now, is why I keep looking down to communities. I want everybody to see this. You were just called in for a national testimony in the Federal Trade Commission. And that had a lot of people, hey, me included. Aaron, you know me a while. I'm not that bright. And why the FTC, for God's sakes? It didn't make any sense to me. It's like, I mean, I don't normally pay a lot of attention to the FTC. Can you talk about, I thought the way that the gentleman who ran that conference, or whatever you want to call it, opened why the FTC is getting involved, I thought was critically important to what we're talking about tonight. Tell us how he opened it a bit, if you could.
Sure. Well, let's just start with the fact that the gender industry is a multi-headed hydra, and we need to be shooting at it from every angle with every tool in the toolbox. So the FTC's place here is about deceptive practices and false statements, and all of gender ideology is based on a false premise to begin with, that we all have a gender identity in the first place. I never have one, never had one. I mean, this is all made up. So once you create this fiction, then treating this fictitious idea is in and of itself fraud and deception. And beyond that, like, to be more specific, when you have Stanford Hospital putting on their website that puberty blockers are fully reversible, well, that's false. And they knew it was false. So that's false advertising right there. And the FTC can pursue them.
You know, sorry, I was trying to do a test. I want to say, too, that he opened with saying something, and I want to rephrase what you said, because I think this is really powerful, the way that the gentleman, whose name I don't know, started it off there. He said, look, why, when he asked open, he said, why does the Federal Trade Commission, why are we doing this, right? And he said, look, the job of the Federal Trade Commission is to make sure that, the elders, the weakest, the dumbest, aren't exploited by financial schemes, snake oil, etc. And I said, wow, it's almost shocking, and I know why, that the government didn't do this before the current administration came along, because who would be more vulnerable than kids under 18 to this. I mean, and I listened to other testimonies. Obviously, I focused on yours, but I thought that's just an incredibly powerful angle. We have children under 18. We'll get into the specifics of your testimony here in a second. And Aaron, this is going to shock you. Are you ready for this? I don't normally admit this on the air. I wasn't that responsible when I was under 18. I made some bad decisions. Even over 18.
I believe you.
I'm over 18. I'm still working with you two guys. But I mean, you know, I shouldn't, I was barely trusted to drive a car till I was 16 years old. And DMV, hey, didn't work out well for you. So I don't even understand. I get the money. I've always said, sorry, it's the money. But what is even the logic? And you busted open, tore the top off some of that logic in your testimony. Back to you.
Are you asking the why, or are you asking more the logic why the FTC is involved?
Oh, I'm simply stating I'm glad the FTC got involved. Rip the top off in your testimony where you showed where they were like, hey, this is what we said, but it's actually not true. The part you talked about as a lawyer where they're like, hey, it won't harm you unless it does.
Right. I mean, if we take an example, like these vitamins are going to make you skinny. Like that's what the FTC goes after. And the vitamins, you know, are sugar pills. They don't make you skinny. So that's what the FTC does. And so you have this whole medical community saying these, and I don't like to use the word treatment, these interventions are life-saving. They will keep your child alive. If you don't give your child puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones and these surgeries, your child will commit suicide. I can't think of anything that is more coercive to a parent than to tell a parent that they have a choice between medicalizing their child or death.
Oh, I saw your testimony on video, and one of the things you said that they did is first of all, you have all these doctors that make these outlandish statements without backing them up and without following up any of their procedures to see if in fact it's true. But then on top of that, you explain how when you go into the hospital, they separate the kid from the parents, and the doctor's sitting there telling the kid, oh yeah, you need to do this because it'll be your true self. And then the doctors in the other room are saying, if you don't do this, your kid's going to commit suicide. It's like, what a racket. Tell me how you got involved in this personally. What made it personal for you?
Well, my daughter decided that she was a boy. She claimed that she was a transgender boy. And that's how I got involved, because the school started calling her, you know, a male name, using male pronouns. And when I read the Riot Act, Child Protective Services showed up at my house. So that was the moment where, when you talk about Mama Bear, where my head spun around. First, I had to care for my child, because, you know, this is the truth. And people really need to hear this and comprehend what a quote unquote transgender child is. This is a child who believes that everything is wrong with them, right? Because they're born in the wrong body. Their brain and their body don't match. Their interior and their exterior doesn't match. So they're going through puberty, which is an uncomfortable time anyway. And they're told that their exterior body, everything's wrong. Your voice, the way you walk, your hands, your neck, your Adam's apple, your hair, everything is wrong with you. So this child is believing that everything is wrong. And then secondarily, that the child believes that they're going to commit suicide, because that's all over the internet. You can type that in, trans kid and suicide. It'll come up and you'll have pages and pages of this. So these kids, you know, they're online. They read this stuff, so they believe that they're going to commit suicide. So you have that second prong. And then you have the third prong, which is your horrible, mean mother and father refuse to capitulate and poison you with these drugs. And so now you have a child who's being told by their school and their peers and their doctor and their psychologist and psychiatrist that their parents are non-supporting and hate them. And so what does this do to this child? It destroys them.
And they actually call Child Protection Services on you.
They did.
So you've got a teenage girl that's already dealing with who am I in the world, and they confuse her with all this garbage. And then when you don't agree, they call Child Protective Services on you.
That's right. So there's two coercive pieces, and we'll be seeing more hopefully from the federal government on this end. So you have the doctors giving the death or treatment, and then you have the teachers and the other institutions, and not all teachers. There's some really great teachers out there, of course, but you have the government then saying you either affirm your child or we're going to take your child from you. And we've seen bills like that in California, and there's a bunch of them right now going on where you're not worthy to be a parent if you don't affirm this false identity of your child. So imagine what a parent is going through. They're getting hit on all ends, and all they're trying to do is protect their children. So that's why I'm you can hear the anger in my voice. It never leaves me. For 5 years, I have been angry and fighting because you don't mess with our kids. And we moms, we don't care about our lives. Like, we care about our kids' lives, and everything is focused on them. Everything.
Don't mess with
Yeah.
mama.
No, and I think a lot of parents feel that way. And I think one of the advantages you have in this fight, and frankly, I'm going to throw out Julie Hamill, Nicole, and you guys are attorneys, okay? And I think that's important because I noticed and look, we've all done it. Like, you go for a medical procedure or even buy a car or whatever, and they're like, blah, 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 blah. Here's the paperwork. And you look over the big fine print. You don't really read it, okay? And by the way, if you buy a bad car, big friggin' deal. It breaks down. You get another car. But what you brought up about UCSF, and I believe was it Duke University and University of California, San Francisco, how they say, oh, it's okay. These won't do X, and refresh me what the X is. But that's not what the paperwork says. Drive that home for us.
Well, that's correct. So UCSF, which is, just number one enemy in the transgender arena, they have one of the largest gender clinics in the United States, and all of their doctors are part of WPATH. They have a doctor who believes that there's an infinite number of genders. She also believed in the satanic panic. So why she's still even practicing, I don't know. But UCSF had, right there on their website last month in June, puberty blockers are completely reversible. And then I looked at one of their consent forms, and the consent form says otherwise. So right there, that's false. It doesn't matter that the parent who was signing that consent form then learned later that they're not reversible.
It's fraudulent.
That's correct. That's correct. And it's rampant on these gender clinic websites. They're all scrubbing them, by the way, right now. And I was watching it in real time as I'm putting together my presentation. I would go back to the link and I'm like, it's gone. Luckily, there's the Wayback Machine, and also I screenshotted it.
I was going to bring that up. I'm glad you know about that.
Yeah, and a lot of parents look, parents have been waiting in the wings for a long time. We've been shouting in the wind for years, and they have stacks and stacks of receipts on what has happened to their kids. None of these people should walk free because we've got the goods. We have them on video. We have them, with letters to parents just filled with lies. If they think that we are going to, go cry in the corner and stop, we are not. And thank God for the federal government. I'll tell you, look, I cried when Trump won his first term. I thought the world was ending. And now I am so grateful for this man because there are tip lines to the FTC, to the Department of Education, to the Office of Civil Rights. And we parents are flooding them with information. They're going to have so much evidence that they won't know what to do with it, which is fantastic.
I thought, Aaron, one of the things, and I want you to hit some of those.
I've got a
was
question for you.
Go ahead, Kurt.
Have you sued all these people over this, the teachers, the doctors, the social workers, and do you intend to sue? Because I think one of the solutions here is suing people personally for federal civil rights violations.
I personally didn't have a good enough case because I pulled my child from the school very quickly. So I wouldn't have been a good candidate for this. But there are lawsuits all over the state. There are lawsuits all over the country, and we're winning a massive one right now here in California. And there's a very important hearing on August 18th in a case involving parents and teachers down in Escondido. And I suspect that the judge is going to rule in our favor, which will really take the wind out of the sail. And of course, we have, the unflappable Harmeet Dillon and Bill Staley, who filed against the Department of Education in California and the California Interstate Federation on the sports cases. So, it's all going to happen. It's all going to come crashing down. Our job is to, keep the body count low, because there's going to be a tail, just like there was a tail with opioids. There's still kids, they're learning about this stuff in kindergarten. There's a lawsuit right now in California where fifth graders were required to read transgender books to kindergartners.
Oh, God. Yeah, I heard about that, actually. I heard about, who Karen England is? I don't know if you do or not.
Yeah.
Go down a slight rabbit hole for a second. But, and you said this during your presentation too, you put a thing up, which I took a picture of and haven't had, frankly, the guts to put it up on Twitter because, Mom, I don't use that kind of language, where Karen England read that the Nevada legislature, have you actually read the books that you're trying to put in schools? And it contained words. I can't even say the words it contained. And you were showing us on the one of the websites, I mean, just some of the things that they're telling kids. And they don't want kids that are 18 going on a porn website. I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, I mean, that picture was 1,000 words. I was a little bit worried about presenting it, but I felt that it had to be, because there is a detransitioner who, she was going through a lot of situations, and she actually believed that she could grow a male phallus. And people made fun of her because of that. And then I showed that picture on a website of a medical clinic in DC that says you can grow a phallus, a male phallus, if you take testosterone. And it's just not true, but that's what it says on that website. So now that gender clinic, or it's actually a full-fledged medical clinic, using that term really loosely, serves 10-year-olds and older, and it's in a poor area of DC. And so what are they doing? They're taking advantage of young people, and it's just horrifying.
Aaron, one of the terms,
these kids end up going through either the puberty blockers or hormone treatments. I understand they're on medical services for the rest of their life, and it's very expensive services. This is really a money-making deal by a lot of these doctors and clinics.
It is. They're lifetime medical patients, even if they detransition. So you can talk to Chloe Cole, you can talk to some of the detransitioners. They have, urinary issues for life. They have phantom pain. They have, and we don't even know. I mean, the testosterone in a female body causes or can lead to liver cancer, and liver cancer is really rare in young people, but we are having females die of liver cancer. We're not watching it because, again, the lawmakers in California, they don't want to track how many girls are being placed on testosterone. And so, yeah, they're lifers, and it's not just about money. I mean, the money's easy. The money's easy to understand. Let's talk about the dark and the dirty here, where this all started. It started with men with fetishes, men who get turned on by thinking of themselves as a woman. And, that happens later in life before it's, it's too late for them to go on puberty blockers and, soften their skin and try to pass. So it's men who look like Admiral Levine, looks like an old man in his grandmother's dress. And those men had poor outcomes because they couldn't trick anyone into believing that they were actually women. And so the Dutch decided, well, let's try to manipulate these people's bodies when they're young and prevent any of the masculinization or feminization of people's bodies so that they can better trick people. So it was all really started from a fetish. And then it was pushed into the mainstream because, once a child has a quote unquote gender identity and they're transgender, now it's not a fetish. Now it's not a mental issue. It's natural, but it's not.
It's Dr. Medley.
Yep. Exactly.
Now, what you're actually going, maybe we think too much alike where I was going to go next is, I think the term you used most during your presentation is, because I knew you didn't know what else to say, you can't make this up. So I think you must have said that like 9 times. And it really was interesting how you kind of put together, tell us the term. Again, it's stuff I'm not used to even talking about. What did they say? Eunuch from the Bible. It's like they took this random stuff and tried to back into this fetish. And I'm listening to this going, I listened to it twice just today alone. And it was almost like, I almost had to hear you say that, you can't make this up, to make sure I was hearing that somebody didn't make it up. Tell us 4 or 5 of those things, because it was insane.
Right.
That the whole premise is based on.
Yeah. So the WPATH, the World Professional Association of Transgender Health, is the basis for all of this gender intervention care across the world, actually.
Actually, very, very biased, not anywhere near objective.
No. They're an advocacy group, but they called theirs. It's all in words, right? We all know how language has been manipulated here. So they called what they wrote standards of care. Well, standards of care has a legal term, and they don't meet that legal term. But by using that name, it was something that was then adopted by, even on Stanford's website, they say we follow the WPATH. Well, the WPATH is filled with just crazy things. So for their Standards of Care 8, they have a section called eunuchs. Not making this up. It's for real. It's one of their chapters. And they say in there that is a valid identity for children, eunuchs. Now, when you dig a little deeper and you find out who wrote that section of the eunuchs and you look up what these men are like, and Redux has done a fantastic job investigating all these people. These are insane men. And then you have Dr. Marcy Bowers, who is a man and has done over 2,000, splicing of male genitalia to create a never healing wound, because, bodies want to heal. And then you have him justify that identity by saying that the word eunuch appears in the Bible 47 times. And so that's his justification. They took out the ethics chapter of the WPATH too, because there's nothing ethical about any of this, but they try to justify it. And we have a lawmaker right now in California doing the same thing. Mark Gonzalez, I believe it's Mark Gonzalez. He started quoting the Bible in his bill that to push to have Trevor Project, which is a trans grooming site, placed on every student's ID. And he got up there and started quoting the Bible. It's quite disgusting.
I'm trying to contain my temper because I will say one of the 7 dirty words George Carlin has here. In California, which we focus on here, where we're all from, right? we have, and I apologize, I am going to cuss everybody out there, Scott Wiener and Gavin Newsom, continue to base their BS on the fact that, oh, we're doing this so, child X doesn't commit suicide, and Wiener throws out these studies. But you would definitely talk about those studies, because just I'll let you run with this because.
Sure. So the quote unquote studies, the quote unquote studies are riddled with errors. They're self-reflection. So there's no science behind it. The science goes the other way. The real science, where they actually do the studies, where they actually track the people. So we have in Sweden, they tracked for 30 years. Talk about a long-term study, 30 years, the outcome of people who have undergone any gender interventions. And guess what? The suicide rate is 19 times higher than the average citizen. 19 times higher. So those are the real numbers.
Help me out, because I'm not as smart as you, but I believe I saw in your presentation, I've seen a couple other places, they didn't even bother to follow up on their initial study. They kind of went to a kid and said, hey, how do you feel? I'm pretty depressed. I'm 9 years old and I'm having crises. And they never went back.
That's right.
Did I miss that, or am I misinterpreting?
No, you were absolutely correct. For 18 years, we have been experimenting, they have been experimenting on children without any follow-up. So they do these interventions on these kids and they say, go, bye-bye. Nice to know you. They don't track any of the regret. They don't track detransitioners. And detransitioners have reported that they have gone back to their doctors to ask for help. How do I get off testosterone? Do I go cold turkey? Do I titrate down? And those doctors ghost them. They don't respond to them.
They don't want to know.
They don't want to know, right? And so now you have a bunch of kids who are, kids and young adults who don't believe in the medical community. As one of the speakers at the FTC said, how are they ever going to trust us again? Well, we're not. We can't. And these detransitioners, they don't go to the doctors because they're scared, because they don't trust them. They don't know what's ailing them, and they're afraid. And they've also been told, like, they've been told, like, you're actually just being transphobic. You need to stay trans. Again, I can't make this stuff up.
I know you can't. And the reason I'm rolling my eyes too, and again, I want to go down a small thing here to make understand or whatever for 1 second. For everybody out there who doesn't understand, and look, I can't speak for anybody else, take additional testosterone if you want. I don't. This is for males, by the way, for anybody, but it lowers your red blood cell count, okay? And if you started doing it when you're young, this is why athletes who take this stuff alone get injured more, etc. To do this to a child who's 16, 17, 18, they're going to see much more long-term damage, because it's everything you do that's a natural body is offset. I mean, I just found this appalling. I want to, when we say it's not just about the money, one of the sectors, and I know I'm jumping around in your testimony, but again, as an average schmuck, things that struck out at me, can you give us a little info, the plastic surgeon? And the plastic surgeon who isn't doing it for the money, but talk about that portion of.
Oh gosh, wow, you want to get into the really yucky stuff. Okay.
Oh yes, I do, because I really want people to see how expletive, deleted, disgusting this is. This isn't this for everyone out there are children, under 18 children. Look, if you're over 20 years old and want to get a friggin' tattoo, go for it. If you want to mutilate your body, I don't recommend you go for it, but you're an adult. But
no, I'm going to fight you on that. No, okay. Nope. No one should No,
I'm not saying they should, but I'm saying no.
I don't think it should be legal. Well,
I agree with our guest, Mike.
I agree it should be illegal, but the point is, yanking children, I agree with you. But yanking a child from their parents to do that, based on the decision of the child, is taking it to a whole other level. The whole damn business should be illegal, okay? But when you do something like that and yank and do this with a child, and you even showed, I took a screenshot of the doctor saying, "Hey, remember?"
Oh, yeah. Well, right. So that doctor, Dr. Joanna Olson Kennedy of Children's Hospital LA. I mean, she's the hubris behind this woman because she has video after video of her saying just awful things, like if a girl
I'm posting it now. Go on.
if she gets if she has her breasts removed and she later regrets it, well, she can just get new ones. Well, that's not the way it works. We're not Legos. We are not actually interchangeable. And once you remove the breasts and the ability to breastfeed, that's gone forever, including sensation. But that's what she talked about. And she's actually on a video where she said that if she makes a mistake and trans a kid who's not really trans, what's the big deal? Because they have cis privilege and they don't have any fragility. So, you can hurt kids if you want to. It's not a big deal. And after all, whose fault is it? It's the child's fault because she was just doing what they asked for. And we've moved as kind of a society into I heard this from preschool teachers when I was raising my kids, child-led, follow what your child wants. That's absurd. That's absurd. If we followed what our children wanted, they would be eating ice cream and wearing pajamas all day. And, and half of them would be dead because they'd be driving the car when they can't reach the pedals. But somehow we have moved to this place where children know better than adults, and children can make decisions that they can't possibly make.
So I want to take that. I'm going to do 1 second. I'll let you guys talk. I'm sorry. From your slideshow, I want you to tell me how I should caption this. From Dr. Dan Metzger. His patients can consent to being sterilized, but he transitions them anyway. We still want the kids to be happy, happier in the moment, which is help me. I couldn't even figure out a way to caption that, and I'm pretty good at it.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I can't think of capturing right now, but
no, you know what I'm saying? I mean,
yeah.
what the hell are they talking about?
Right. It's making it. I mean, he admitted that children can't understand. I think, his whole clip, which I couldn't show obviously, but is him admitting that these kids don't know 8th grade biology. And their parents don't understand the long-term effects. And he's like, it always bothered me. Like, it's always bothered me a little bit. And then these kids think that they can go to an orphanage and just pull a baby off the shelf. And when we're talking about fertility and losing it and not being able to have your own child, they don't really understand it. But I just want to make them happy today.
Right.
Without thinking about, at 14, I wasn't thinking about having children. No one, a 14-year-old actually shouldn't be thinking about that. They're kids. So, it's all of a sudden they have forgotten everything about childhood development, which, yes, Mike, you were not the only, poor decision maker as a teenager. I mean, we look at girls right now, with their purple hair and whatever, and they're going to look back at those pictures and go, what was I thinking? As we all did. I mean, I had crazy perms, I dyed my hair, blonde, whatever. But yeah, we're missing that. The children are children. Their brains are not fully developed. The AAP knows this. And that's why they're actually my number one that I'm gunning for is the American Academy of Pediatrics, because their whole job is to care for children, and they have failed royally.
Scott and Kurt, I want you to ask Aaron a number of questions. We were excited to have you. This has been a big subject ever since we started doing this. So
it was a big. I mean, when I started my assembly campaign, it's a bridge too far. When I talk to parents, whether they be Democrat or Republican, they are all on our side. Like you said, it's an 80-20 issue, and the 20 are the wackos. Frankly, mostly college-educated white women and wackos like Scott Wiener have somehow formed a coalition. There's a group in California called Gender Spectrum, and we ran across them even in our local school district. They're the ones that provide the gender support plan forms and all the recommendations. All these school districts turn to them for advice on how to comply with the law in California and how to appropriately deal with people with gender dysphoria. Tell me a little bit about these guys.
Well, Gender Spectrum, they partnered with the schools, and we actually paid for them to come into our public schools. And then they partnered with surgeons and with endocrinologists and others so that they could have a one-stop shop. So Gender Spectrum had as its mantra to get gender ideology into every single classroom across the nation, not just California. And they did a heck of a job doing it. I mean, they came in and did free talks, and these schools were like, we don't know what transgenderism is. And they let them come in. Now, this group is largely defunct, which is great, but their
website's still pretty robust.
Yeah, right. But they're not going around to schools anymore. I think they maybe had some infighting with money because the money. There was so much money that a lot of people were doing this just because they're making a quick buck.
Which I want to insert. Sorry to jump in on you. Help me as an expert bridge between what you just said and Scott just said, between the kinds of films that Jennifer Sybil Newsom is distributing with her, because I'm looking at these going, how the expletive deleted is the governor's wife getting paid with this? Tell us about those films. I'm sharing to a bunch of groups, which is why I'm going.
That's right. So right, and you saw Newsom in his little like wiggly hands flying all over the place when he was interviewed by Sean Ryan. But I wish Sean Ryan had given me a call. I could have given him some questions because you're right. His wife is pushing these sex ed videos, and they are filled with transgenderism. So yeah, it's a nonprofit, but there's a lot of money that changes hands through nonprofits. I'm not saying I have any evidence that she's making gobs of money from this, but it's suspect to me because these nonprofits are subsidized by grants. The grants come from our government, and away we go. The money goes around.
Seeing as how her and Gavin have a $10 million, Marin County house.
I want to stop for 1 second, and I apologize. We have evidence. This is an important thing of what we do at California Free Radio. And this is very important, and I even shouldn't tell you this on the air. These, oh my God, what do they call them? The behested payments that Newsom gathers, the $32 million a year, directly, because they're revealed, goes to a nonprofit that Jennifer Sybil Newsom runs to make these films. On their tax returns, which Gavin demanded be made public, by the way. Hey, she's making about at least $250,000 a year off of that, to let you know, as president of it. Sorry to jump back in, but it is absolutely the most crooked thing I've ever seen for a governor to do to our children with his wife.
And he's not alone in that. Tony Thurman is on the board of a nonprofit that also does stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, we need a whole team of investigators because there's a lot of dirt out there. We just don't have enough people who are pulling together the evidence. So anybody listening, the internet's a handy little tool. You can pull up a lot of this stuff and start building the cases. 990s are great to look at. I just looked at one for LGBTQ Center down in LA. It brings in $100 million. Where the hell is it getting that money? Hello, Doge. Hello, Doge.
And yeah,
Thanks,
and Aaron, we appreciate. Well, I want to. We could keep you on the whole show, probably 2 or 3 shows. We're going to have Nicole on in a couple of weeks to talk about state bills, to let you know,
Awesome.
which she probably told you. And Jennifer on too. But before, one more thing, and I think we touched on it. Literally, did I get this right too? On the plastic surgeon who is living the lifestyle of the rich and famous.
Oh, yes, Cy
I
Gallagher.
mean, when we talk being all, I've always said it's all about the money, but to mutilate kids and then flaunt it in quote Beverly Hills or wherever the expletive deleted she was. Tell us about that, and then we'll want to wind your segment up with telling us about you and what people can do to help.
Yeah, so that's Dr. Cy Gallagher. She's infamous. She's in Florida. So I don't know why they're not going after her hard there, but she advertises to kids using, very, on TikTok, and very childish advertisements and Instagram. And she really goes after, she preys on the vulnerable. She has a whole gallery. Like, you can look on her website, you can see her whole gallery of the young girls whose breasts she chopped off, and they're overweight, they're unattractive, you can tell that these are the kids that are longing for friendship, and she takes advantage of them. And then you can see pictures of her at the Kentucky Derby, on the back of a yacht drinking champagne. She's just just making gobs of money. Yeah, off of human misery. So yeah, she's in it for the money. A lot of the surgeons are in it for the money, or they just don't even, they assume that they are that these kids have been vetted, and they just take out their scalpels and just cut away.
This is, you're talking about, her name is.
I got a question.
Yeah, so it's an Irish name. So the way you pronounce it is Sive. It's like SH, I forget, IBB something. It's a very strange spelling because it's Gaelic. But yeah, she's a chop shop, and the FTC already has a complaint that has been filed against her. So we'll see where that goes, because she's an easy target.
Okay.
Kurt,
Well,
go
definitely.
ahead. Kurt has.
Yeah,
I've got
Kurt
a
has
question about criminal liability here. Let me jump in here. Criminal liability. It's illegal to commit battery against any person. It's worse if you do it against a minor. This is child molestation, in my view. Battery, sexual battery. Are the parents filing criminal complaints? If federal and state
parents
court
don't.
against these teachers, these doctors?
Parents can't. That's the government that files criminal complaints. A parent can't do it. They can go in and make an allegation.
I'm sorry. You can make.
Yeah.
You can contact them. You're right. You can contact them.
Yeah. So what Trump's administration just recently did.
What's happening on the criminal side?
Well, what Trump put out there was an executive order about female genital mutilation. And what people don't understand, that doesn't mean that it is just phalloplasty, so adding a fake phallus to a girl. Testosterone actually affects all parts of a female's genitalia. And so that's mutilation in and of itself. Puberty blockers does the same. So I'm going to suspect that the federal government is going to go after some of these doctors criminally based on laws that have already been on the books, that you cannot mutilate women's genitalia. And that came from, when they were, when African women were getting parts of their bodies cut off. So that law has already been on the books. But what they don't know is, again, like testosterone mutilates the genitalia of females.
Sterilizes as well, I presume.
It can, but it makes changes down there that cannot be changed. I won't go into the graphic details, but it thins out, parts of the uterus. It shrinks things on boys for puberty blockers. That never grows. It's not reversible. Once it's left tiny, it's tiny. And these are the things that they lie about and don't talk about.
And this is something interesting too. I mean, on a serious note, we all kind of cringe, I think, with what you just said, Aaron. But you know, these, I think, and again, I want to correct me if I'm wrong here, but they prey on the fact that, frankly, the average person really doesn't. I mean, this isn't something that you know, hey, how's it going today? How's your genitalia? It's not in our conversation, right? So they can kind of, I think they found, to your point, it's a weird fetish. I mean, I don't know many people with weird fetishes. I know these two guys and they're weird, but they don't, it's not the kind of thing that comes up. So they've kind of found a niche that it's up to us, the people, to talk about. To your point, with social media, we are the media now, to dig into things that probably are uncomfortable, and God bless you for doing it, for a lot of us to talk about. And they're preying on that, aren't they? And then tell us what we can do to help your mission, which is our mission. I don't want to say your mission. It should be everybody's mission. And don't misinterpret me earlier, protect the children first, okay? It's the children first, right? So tell us what we all could do to help with this mission.
Well, send me an email at aaron@ourduty.group if you want to know really what to do. I need people. I need people going to Sacramento. I need people making phone calls. I give very simple instructions on what to do, where to go. You don't need to have a law degree to fight. You just need to have a voice. And every one of us has a voice. Every one of us has an obligation to safeguard our country and our kids. Democracy only works if you participate. And then if you don't have that, then find a group that you believe in and donate to them. I haven't worked for 5 years. I haven't made a penny in 5 years. I do this from my own savings. It costs me $200 almost a trip to Sacramento in gas and parking and whatnot. I do this because I'm compelled. So people who don't feel like they can have a voice, find a group. It doesn't have to be my group. Find a group and donate to them, because we need it. And help get more Republicans in office, and go meet with your representatives, even if they're the lefty representatives. The more we show up, we're making a difference by showing up. The numbers are growing. They're feeling uncomfortable. We see it on their faces. They look away. They run from us. They know the end is there. We just need to start pushing more. So yeah.
I want to add something here too. On my feed, you know this, and you and I exchange emails, right? Do you want this publicized? Not. One of the things that's really good about what Aaron Friday does, and why you see me on my X feed, and by the way, I put on LinkedIn and our Facebook groups, is when I get something from Aaron Friday, it's very specific what you need to do, okay? A, B, X, Y, Z. Here's 8 people that are on the committee. I mean, that's one of the things I love about you. It's us like, and you're in this kind of, we're all in kind of the same business. Like, oh my God, this is happening. Yeah, I know that. What are you going to do about it? I'm going to yell, oh my God, and send you an email. You give us very specific action items in what you do. Sometimes so specific as, I have to ask you, do you want this publicized? No, not that one. And I'm like, okay. So pay attention. Follow Aaron Friday's feed. I have a large social media following. Push it out, like the show and everything else. Just to your point, spreading the word is incredibly powerful. There's nobody I know except for a few weirdos. It doesn't matter that they happen to be Democrat. Scott Wiener happens to be a Democrat. I'll say it right now. Wiener, you're a pervert who happens to be a Democrat. Not because, right? I mean, it's just really what it boils down to. If he was a Republican, he'd be a pervert. He's just a permanent pervert, okay? And the fact he pushes this at the end of the day is just amazing. And with the exception of Scott Wiener and a few of these other whack jobs, they are very uncomfortable having these conversations. Doesn't matter, regardless of party. Write them an email, make a phone call. They have to take them. Go, Aaron. Go ahead. We've kept you so long tonight.
Yep, I gotta run.
I know. I'm sorry. Go ahead and wrap it up.
All right. Thanks,
All
everyone.
right. Thank you.
Aaron,
Make
thanks
sure
so much.
to check
God
out Aaron's
bless.
website.
Thank you for what you do.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you, gents.
Yeah.
There you go.
She's hanging herself out there in a very rough area where these people have a lot of money to lose, and there's a lot of things that she's risking her exposure not only to herself but also to her family. So it's a big deal what she's doing, and she's standing in the gap when no one else will. So, and then we've got these other two ladies that are similarly gifted, prioritizing the same area or arena, maybe from a different avenue. And I'm so glad to have all of these ladies out there doing this stuff. Guys,
Scott,
guys,
there's something that people can do who are listening to us. If this is a problem you're having with your child, a friend's child, your grandchild, there's an organization in California that has legal resources for free to help you. Pacific Justice Institute, PJI.org. And they have specific information about how to deal with social workers in this gender transition nonsense. And they are suing and they are threatening, and they don't charge people for this. PJI.org. So if this is a problem you're having or someone is having, don't stand alone. Get help.
and they also are a good place for referrals for people that are suffering from gender dysphoria to get counseling. They don't do it themselves, but they have several groups that they work with that would provide that for them. So yes, don't stand out there on your own. Not everybody is an attorney like Aaron who can go after these people. Most of the time, when child services shows up at your house, we don't react properly, and they take your kids away, and then you spend months and thousands of dollars fighting the state to get your kids back. And the fact that they do this because you don't believe in gender dysphoria and that that you actually can change genders, and then these judges and all these other people agree with the state that the problem is the parent and not the kid, they ought to all be in jail. Some of them ought to go to the capital crimes. They should not be doing this crap, but yet that's nuisance California. Sorry.
Well, Scott, they're very lucky that they haven't done that to the wrong person. And I won't go farther here on our show, but they're going to do that to somebody one time who's going to take matters in their own hands, and it'll be the last time they do it to anybody. And leave them.
No, they already. I want to stop there. They already have, Kurt. I'm going to disagree with you there. It's funny because the conservative media brings up when somebody goes berserk that happens to be transgender, and then you hear about a guy named Max who originally started as Molly. They just go, a guy named Max went berserk with a gun, etc., etc. It's already happened. It's just to the kind of what we opened the show with, and in our last 6 or 7 or 8, whatever the hell it is, minutes here. I mean, I think we need to really stay on this tonight. The reality is, it just isn't. Look, you saw some of the people in Biden's last administration. I can't even remember the dude.
The guy in the dress who was responsible for handling the nuclear waste that was stealing women's clothing in airports.
Right. Okay. Now, that should have been like a headline friggin' story. Okay. It was, yeah, no kidding. You had an admiral, a male admiral, I would like to add, dressing in women's clothing. I mean, this is just, I get it's money, but there's a point where if you're in the presidential office, that shouldn't be a factor. If you're in the federal administration, that shouldn't be a factor. We are the media, and even the mainstream media is just uncomfortable to report some of this. This, to me, is a really big issue because long after the three of us are gone, which could be next week at our age, this is a generation coming up that is growing up in this kind of environment. They're not arguing about what should be at the All-Star game, arguing about how many types sexes there are, or whether or not they should have been mutilated at 8 years old, it's beyond disgusting. I mean, I don't even know. It's up to us to keep this word spread. And to Aaron's point,
It's criminal, Mike. It's not
I
just
get that
disgusting.
it's criminal, but here's my point. For everyone out there that hasn't had the crime committed to them, okay? They can't charge somebody, doesn't work. What you can do is you can yell. And Kurt, I got a stupid question for you, okay? A really stupid question. You got to work with me here, okay? But if these paid protesters, and forget all the hyperbole for 1 second, are so ticked off about 5,000 illegal aliens being removed from California, where the hell are the protesters on this being done to way over that number of kids in California? Where is that voice?
Well, a lot of the people, Mike, that are protesting ICE are paid protesters.
I get
Some of them are union members that are getting better shifts if they participate in the political activities they're told to participate in, and others are being paid by the hour. And in fact, one of Sam Walton's daughters is funding some of
No,
this
I
nonsense.
get it, but here's my point to the people who don't want to get a job at McDonald's but march the streets against immigration, and to the mainstream press who can't wait to respond to these people what's happening. How come you're not bringing up the fact of what's not happening is my point. Why are there not people just out of the good of their friggin' hearts, and forget that for a second, on our side, storming the Capitol saying stop passing laws that mutilate children? Somebody explain that to me.
It's a morality problem against those who are supporting illegal aliens and not supporting kids. It's a morality problem. I'm going to say something you won't like. You're evil. If you are harming kids in this way, you are evil. You're not just wrong, you're evil.
Scott, I don't even know who that is.
That's the nuclear secretary.
That's the
Oh,
luggage
okay.
guy.
He's the guy with the luggage fetish.
I'm sorry, I thought that you were flashing something from Fantastic Four, Avengers 6, or Marvel movies. I just,
Not one of your ex-girlfriends.
thank
Mike.
God for that, which I know were girlfriends, but let's put that down. Look, guys, there's been a lot going on this week. We got a couple stories that we'll get to covering. I will be off next week speaking to some young Republicans, leaving the helm with you two. But I started off here, and I want to quick fast fire on a couple things. And I open with saying this, that in the long run, truth does prevail. And that is not the truth. But Scott, could you do me I'm going to ask you to hold on.
Just in case you didn't like the dress that he was wearing before, you get to see another alternative.
I want you to put up a more evil picture than that right now for me. You
Which
ready?
one do you want?
Adam Schiff.
All right, give me.
Because if you're not following,
Mr. Morgan
and Deborah
Fraud.
Gurley Torres, thank you very much. I see you out there. We see everybody's comments. I thought it was important that we'll let Aaron speak tonight. Yes, speak up. We speak up enough, the truth gets told. We had Chris Fisher in our show a couple months ago, and it looks like Adam Schiff, who Scott is, I don't know why he has to rapidly search for a picture. He's all over the internet. Look under insects in Wikipedia. You will find him. Adam Schiff
Or
may get
snakes.
indicted for mortgage fraud, which we've been talking about. And the reason that's happening, and I want to, give it up for, Chris Fish and John Stubbins and the people that have been working on this for close to 5 years. And there you go. For everybody out there, if you have bad dreams tonight, it's Scott's fault because he found that picture. Adam Schiff, the state senator of California, undoubtedly has committed mortgage fraud, and it looks like he may find the lead story in Netter News today, along with lots of other things. Yes, indeed, Chris Fish for Congress. I agree with you. And Chris Fish for Congress and John Stubbins and many of us and the people that you see here tonight have had the guts to stay honest. It takes a while, just like it took them a while to come after our kids for sex change. It takes us a while to make sure that a Colbert goes off the air by not watching. It takes us a while to get a guy like Shift exposed because we have to wait for a cycle to come through. It takes a while to get many things done that we wonder why they're not done in 20 minutes by the administration. Kurt, it takes a while to hit us with a couple other stories that you hit us in the notes this week. My blood is literally boiling.
All right, Mike, there's somebody who deserves recognition this week. His name was John MacArthur.
Yes.
In the tradition of ministers in America back to the colonial times that got involved in politics and stood up for truth, justice, and the American way, MacArthur refused to let Gavin Newsom and the Democrats shut his church down in Los Angeles during the COVID hoax. And he sued and won in court. And just like the Black Robe Regiment that organized regiments in Presbyterian churches in the colonies to fight the British during the Revolutionary War, John MacArthur was not going to submit to tyranny, and his church didn't submit to tyranny.
And there's a lot of lawsuits coming out like that now. One I've been out today going to talk about. Hit us with two or three more stories on that one, because again, the truth takes a while. Exactly the point. It's taken 3 or 4 years for this to, run its gambit. Keep going.
Well, two quickies here. One, the California Democrats, we told you this, and the conspiracy was true. They're trying to prevent the people in Pacific Palisades from rebuilding so they can take all that valuable high-end land and turn it into a low-income housing slum.
And we'll be doing a whole show on that in a few weeks, by the way. You guys didn't even know it, but I'm going to dredge up some good guests for that. We're going to focus on that. But you're absolutely right. And
we had to win this week, Mike.
What? I didn't hear you.
We had a win this week. The federal government has shut down funding for the Democrats' failed high-speed rail.
Kurt, do you have that song handy? Do you have that song? I mean, Scott, do you have that song handy? I put it on the feed there. The one.
Yep. Let me see if I can find it.
This is important. It is a big win this week, and I want to end the show in a little bit as we move towards the end toward a great note. It's in the X feed that I sent you last night. Hold on, I want everybody to hear this right now, because it actually is begot from a line I have. Because I'm going to use this as a preview on KABC Radio tomorrow. Hold on, I want to get it over to Scott in 1 second here if he can't find it. Because you know what, Kurt? Everybody says bye-bye to the bullet train, but hold on 1 second here. It is very hard to say goodbye when the train never left the station. And that is the good country.
I got it. Hold on.
All right, put it up right now. And remember that as we almost sign off tonight, it's very hard to say goodbye when the train never left the station. Hit it. Well, they're going to have to go to my feed because the audio on this isn't very good there. But for everybody out there, Gavin Newsom, that was a big victory. Kurt, well, and by the way, go to my X feed and you will find it's hard to say goodbye when the train never left the station, because it is, I can't even go on with incredible. Each of these is their own show. I don't think we're going to get good audio.
At Netter Mike on X. Go to at Netter Mike.
That's right. I'll be putting that up and I'll be talking about tomorrow. Kirk, give us one more story and then we're going to say.
All right, Mike, one more thing. Yep, an illegal alien that got himself to be a legislator, Salud Carbajal, doxed ICE employees and handed the card to the rioters, and the ICE employee was injured, and they've been threatening family members of some of the ICE agents, and this guy needs to be arrested and prosecuted.
And that's actually, boy, you're right in my alley, brother. That's something.
And denaturalize him and kick him out of the country.
And that's something else we're going to be talking about tomorrow.
They said from LA to San Fran Bay, but the years rolled on and the tracks.
Turn up a little bit. Let's get a couple seconds here as you roll in.
dust and dreams across the nation. No ribbon cut, no celebration. Hard to say goodbye when the train never left the station.
Help me and let's go, brother. And for everybody out there, Scott, Piotr, Kurt, you're going to have plenty of time to talk next week. God bless you. For all of us, we are the media now. Gentlemen, Scott, thank you for your production work tonight. And as always, Kurt, thank you for at least wearing a shirt. We started off earlier on that. For everyone out there, California Free Radio, like all of us, we are the voice of the media now. And what you heard tonight, it's up to us. Don't wait for your elected officials to do something. Don't wait for some nameless commission to take away a law, put in a law. It's up to us. It's up to us to pay attention because we are the media. And as I started off saying, the truth always prevails as long as we keep telling the truth as long and hard as we can to as many people, whether they'll listen or not. God bless you. It's our damn state. Let's keep it and take it back. Thank you very much.
We'll see you at 6:30 next week on Thursday.
All right. Save us. Behind the Blue Curtain. Talk to you next week.
You should end the show.
I should, except I keep sitting there saying end the stream, and it's not ending the stream.
Just take the app down.
Yep, that's the next thing to do. All right, gentlemen. Good night.